all for shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. I apologize for earlier, man. I guess doing a show in a truck, it bounces off the towers. I guess it'll still bounce off the towers because I'm still on the road. However, uh, bear with me. Hopefully, we can get through this together. Y'all see the title? I wasn't going to address this until I saw. I'm the type of person, I don't address it unless I'm seeing handcuffs. Like the judges, they were handcuffed. So Adam Shifty Shift, pencil neck Adam Shifty Shift. I wasn't going to speak on this because I'm saying unless they damn throw handcuffs on that man's wrist, I'm not going to speak on that. However, I decided, you know what? I'll speak on it because I know a lot of you guys have seen this. A lot of you guys have looked at this situation and like, come on, really, Adam? Really? Drive them 8 miles out of town and bury them 6 feet deep? I guess this is a mafioso saying, I'm gonna have to goddamn tune in to Michael Franchese. He's our resident YouTube mafia expert. Him and Sammy the Bull, but I don't like Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull is not a boss. So I like to go to Franchise. Franchise is a boss. Sammy the Bull is just a damn. He's a goon. He's just a goon. Uh, Not a boss. So anywho, enough about the mafia. I'm here to talk about Adam Shifty Shift. I'm gonna talk about that. I also want to talk about. Did I already talk about Ukraine today and the situation in Istanbul? I think I discussed enough of that. So I'll just concentrate on Adam Shifty Shift. Um, Sometimes I like to come with a multitude of topics, but if y'all throw it in the top, if y'all throw comments and if I see a deemable, if y'all throw something that's worth pivoting the conversations, then I'll do it. But as of right now, we're going to talk about Adam Shifty Shift and what he did. Adam Shifty Shift taking a walk along near the pier, ocean, the beach, wherever he was. Let's say the beach, yeah. And he happened to stumble across, according to what he's saying, some seashells. And the seashells says 8647. Now, this has caused the firestorm on the internet. This has caused, yeah, it has caused quite the firestorm because in the new popular culture, that means to, I guess, in Sopranos and all these other mafia shows, it means to off somebody, take them 8 feet, 8 miles out, and bury them 6 feet deep. Sounds like a threat, right? So Adam Shifty Shift was like, "Hey, I didn't know it meant that. I didn't know." Come on, man. You former FBI, man. You know all the lingo, especially dealing with the mafia, man, because the mafia worked hand in hand with the FBI in many situations and CIA, according to Michael Franchese, who said that they came to him, his family, as far as offing Kennedy. So, yeah, we're not going to play those type of games. Let's not play those games, y'all. Let's not play those type of games. I'm gonna back up. Man, this damn quick trip is packed like every other quick trip. Okay, I just need to get to the gas tank. Hold on, y'all. Let me put this gas in this car because it is payday. It is gas day. I call this gas day. Let me get this underway here. Leap, because I'm gonna deposit this Chizek in the Trizek 1977. Enter. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. No, I don't need a receipt. Let's get to it. Okay. Man, these people driving crazy. Heck yeah. Traffic is not too bad on being that it's a Friday. So let me get back to it, y'all. So uh, Pico, what's going on, man? It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you, man. Hey, BPM had two good, great dang streams today, man. Shout out to Pico, man. Shout out to Black Metal Productions, man. Those were some great. You know, BPM always has great live streams on Fridays. So for those of y'all that are into Black Metal Productions, check out his channel. Will not disappoint. Also, I think Atmospheric Black Metal is another good channel. So yeah, check out those channels, Black Metal Production and Atmospheric Black Metal channel. So yeah, check those out, man. If you're into that type of thing, I definitely am. Being a man, I like to listen to that type of music. So um, we're talking about. Oh shoot! Oh, my gas is done. Damn, that was a quick pump. Damn, I didn't realize it was that quick. Damn, that was a quick pump, y'all. $32. That's doable. $32 to fill up the tank. Yeah, that's that. See, that's them Trump gas prices. See, yeah, we back to the days of filling up the tank. I mean, it is a six-cylinder, y'all, family sedan, but yeah, $32 for me is it's good. It's good. So let me see if I can get out of here. Oh shit. He's going right, and I'm going left, and I'm on the highway. Woo! Beating that traffic, y'all. Beating that traffic. So Adam Shifty Schiff made the threat to Trump, and I began to think. I'm like, man, there's still this aura. There's still this whole thing, this hatred towards Trump. And I'm starting to think there's a lot of ties in with the Ukrainian situation, with NATO. This goes beyond just left wing TDS here in, with Donald Trump. This thing is a global, international syndicate that, again, you had. Okay, so you know what? Let me tie it in to what's his name from Louisiana. I forgot his name. You know, the one Russia's going to be fish food. The dude from Louisiana, man. Yeah, that guy. Um, I've never seen a senator go to Ukraine or Istanbul, Turkey for any other reason, but they, I guess, want to try to come together and try to threaten to impeach Trump if Trump don't go a certain way. And this is why, in my opinion, Trump has not immediately cut off Ukraine because he's trying to maneuver around these Republicans, these rhinos who are threatening to impeach him. Won't be successful because half the country is not only behind the Trump, but more than half is against the war in Ukraine. So, and that's why I said, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the main one. She is, like I said, I made the argument about her being the backbone, the main one pushing for the end this conflict in Ukraine. Don't have nothing to do with us, America first, you know, that whole spiel. And apparently these rhinos and these Democrats don't see the eye to eye, and definitely Adam Shifty Schiff. Uh, I'm starting to realize this whole thing in our U.S. government goes beyond just domestic; it is international, and this is why the people in Europe, NATO feels so emboldened. Zelensky feels so emboldened because it seems like the original Biden-Harris agenda they're trying to resurrect and push forward. They're trying to push that forward real hard, and you know what that policy is, and that's continuing the war with in Ukraine to every last Ukrainian. And so I'm looking at this thing with Adam Schiff. The timing and everything is because of the situation in Ukraine. The whole now Putin and the Putin administration and the Trump administration have both agreed that in order to end this war, it's going to have to be Putin and Trump. Now, I understand that Putin and Trump have to finalize it, but what's going on behind the scenes is that, like I said before, Putin has his negotiation team and America have their negotiation team, and they're talking. Putin and Russia, they're in a position they don't really have to negotiate. They can keep moving forward. However, being that this is not Putin's agenda, Putin is going to work with Trump. However, there are some hardliners in Russia that want to go all the way up to the Dnieper River, and they may even beyond that, but they want to keep pushing west. And so the Russian military has insisted that they be in on this meeting, which I was like, wow. I mean, Putin's in charge, but the military definitely wants a say. And so I guess uh, for those of y'all know who Wagner is, Penny Boghossian, basically almost attempted a coup against Vladimir Putin because he felt that Russia could take the rest of Ukraine all the way up to the Polish border. And so that spirit of Penny Boghossian, I'm not going to say they want to commit any type of coup, but they are seeing what Penny Boghossian saw, which is they could easily take the rest of Ukraine. In order to denazify Ukraine, in order to, I see it was warm here too. We are hot to every. Oh yeah. It's I got the AC full blast, Pico. I got it full blast, and let me tell you, my car. This is why I'm driving the Hoopty. My Hoopty has the best AC, and it's my oldest vehicle because, of course, it being an old vehicle, I had to replace it. And so the AC unit is brand new compared to my truck and compared to my other vehicles. They still have their original AC. So therefore, yeah, when it's hot, I hop in the hoopty. I hop in the hoopty. So yeah, this hoopty is like a refrigerator. It's cold. I can hang meat in here. It's so dang cold. So Putin has put it out there and Trump has put it out there. Only Putin and Trump can solve this. So what I'm predicting is that just like when Trump went to Pope Francis's funeral, Trump went there and there were 3 seats originally. And Trump was like, no, take one of those seats away. And he was meeting with Zelensky, and Zelensky thought he was going to be Macron, and then Trump was like, no, Macron, no, this is just between me and Zelensky. So that is a great representative of what Trump needs to do. Trump don't want NATO involved in this. He knows that NATO is a problem, and he's really understanding that Zelensky is a problem. So what Trump wants to do is handle this on a one-on-one situation. So he talked to Zelensky in one-on-one, and now he wants to talk to Vladimir Putin one-on-one. He knows Vladimir Putin holds all the cards. Nothing has changed. Zelensky don't hold any cards. Nothing's changed from that, you guys. Nothing has changed. And so Zelensky being at this meeting is totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. And so um, I predict, this is my prediction, I predict that Trump and Putin will resolve this. Well, I don't know. I'm See, I don't know where Trump is not showing his hand. But if Putin comes, I mean, the longer this goes, the more demands they have. And JD Vance said, "Man, man, Russia's asking for a lot." Well, when you're gaining ground, you can ask for a lot. You can ask for more. The more ground you gain, the more you can ask for. So it's like that's just human nature. That's just the art of the battle. You know, talk about art of the deal. Yeah, that's the art of the battle right there. You can make that demand, that being i.e. Russia, because you have earned that. You have earned those demands, and this is what J.D. Vance, him being former Marines. Actually, I think he's still Marines. Shout out to J.D. Vance, man. Semper Fi. Shout out to the Marines. But as a soldier, you should understand that, JD, is that you fight for that land, you've earned it. And Russia has definitely earned all that land and all those demands that they're making. I mean, the demands that they're making has been consistent. So I don't understand what is so great about the demands. Maybe the denazification, maybe the demilitarization, maybe that you might feel is extreme, but um, being that Ukraine is right on their borders, and that, well, see, this is the thing. Russia has already capitulated to Finland being part of NATO. So you guys have really pushed the red line of, this whole being on Russia's borders. So, but it's not up to JD Vance, it's going to be up to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, um, so far, I mean, now some people might say Donald Trump's being wishy-washy. I just say that Donald Trump is not showing his hand. He's wavering. He's saying this 1 minute, that 1 minute. I think that's to throw people off, and definitely trying to throw off. So when he comes to the negotiating table, I don't know, to have some type of, I wouldn't say leverage or advantage, but to have some type of fair middle ground, I guess. I'm trying to rationalize why Trump is doing the maneuvers, what he's doing, and why he's doing it. Now, as y'all know, I said Trump has done great on the tariffs. He's done great on the bringing down the gas prices. He did great with India and Pakistan. Um, as far as Israel, uh, he's he appears to be distancing himself away from Putin. I don't know if it's a good cop, bad cop situation, but like I said, I don't want to get into that Israel Hamas situation at the moment. I will in the future. But back to Russia. Now, Russia, they're standing their ground. They're standing their ground. They're standing their ground, which to me, um, which to me, Russia standing their ground, it pretty much seems, I mean, hmm, it seems like there's not going to be no concession on Russia's behalf because, again, the military is not going to want no concession as far as land ownership, occupation, whatever you want to call it. But what I will say this is that the denazification seems like a buffer negotiation. It seems like because like what denazify? How do you denazify somebody, Putin? So, and I've said this before. Like, how do you denazify? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're able to do it in Russia, but the rest of the world, like, how do you denazify? Now I do understand the concern of the militarization part. You do not want no type of military on your borders. However, Putin did. I mean, Zelensky did sign the minerals deal. So I guess that gives America ownership. I guess it would be like a. I think what's going to happen is that Trump is going to show Putin the. Trump is going to show Putin the minerals deal, and somehow Trump is going to cut in Russia with that minerals deal. That's the only way I can see. That's the only way I can see. That's the only way I can see Trump maneuvering to where I don't know. It's weird, man. I don't know how Trump is going to maneuver because again, Russia is in. I mean, they're isn't the minerals deal also to give the U.S. an alternative source in the chess game with China? Um, Explain that, Rob, because I was looking at. You got to explain that, Rob. I don't know. Like, explain that what you just said, because I wouldn't even, because from what I understand, and I could be mistaken, is that when Xi Jinping went to the World War II parade, that uh, they did not discuss Ukraine. And from what I understand, and again from my sources, they say that Putin didn't really want to discuss that with Xi Jinping. Putin wanted to borrow money. Hey, what's going on? Oh, Prosperity asks about you. Oh, hey, Prosperity. Hey, Prosperity. Tell your husband hello. I've been here. I've just been looking at this situation with Ukraine, and I've been looking at this. They were supposed to have peace talks in Istanbul, and I wanted to make sure all my research. I wanted to make sure all my ducks were in a row, Prosperity, before I got on here, because Putin. I mean, not Putin, but Trump. Trump has. Trump has. And I understand why Trump is doing this, but Trump has been kind of not making his position clear. One minute he's telling Zelensky, yo, y'all need to wrap it up. We gonna leave. In another minute, oh, Russia. He's and I gotta analyze. I'm just trying to. What I'm trying to do, Prosperity, is I'm trying to study Trump right now. But Trump is playing chess with Putin. They're playing chess right now, and you know, Robcat, aren't we getting lots of rare minerals from China? I was thinking that Trump was killing two birds with one stone, getting a U.S. presence in Ukraine with the benefit of the rare minerals. So the thing is, Rob, that I want to know is what type of securities in this contract. I mean, I know you haven't read it, I haven't read it, but what do you suspect? What kind of securities does this set up with? Is it just American securities, not NATO? Because the only way, what I'm getting is that Trump got them to sign a minerals deal because this will assure security some type of security for Ukraine. So they'd be like, because you know, Ukraine is crying, oh, Russia's going to invade us if you leave, and oh my gosh, Putin, he's evil, he's going to invade. So there's something in that deal that assured, even though Zelensky hesitated many times, there's something in that to where he signed and said, okay, you know what, we got to go with this deal. So there's something in there that Zelensky had to agree with there, and there's something in there apparently that Putin has to agree with. Because I know Trump. Trump is the businessman, you know, Mr. Art of the Deal. He drew up that contract to where everybody has their hand in the pot. So my question to you, Rob, is what type of securities do you think he offered Zelensky for that minerals deal? To calm Zelensky down, to calm Ukraine down. What type of security? Now, my guess is that it's not a NATO security. Putin don't want to deal with NATO, but Putin and Sergei Lavrov, it seemed like they'll deal with the U.S. security, but not NATO security. How you been? I've been good, Prosperity. I've been good. I'm sorry I haven't been on Miss Lynn's show, but Miss Lynn's topics are just not. Let me just say this about Miss Lynn, and I've been trying to calm Miss Rowland. Her topics are beneath her. They're beneath her intellect, if that makes any sense. You know, Miss Lynn is a very intelligent woman, but those topics are niggified, and I don't do niggified topics. So there. And if the topics seem niggified, I won't even come to the show. I'm just like, no, I can't do it, Miss Lynn. So you know, I'm hoping she starts dealing with topics that are on her level. I don't know why she keeps dealing with topics that are beneath her. Them are nigga topics, but you know, that's hey, I said it. I can't do with nigga topics. I can't do it. You know, I don't care about those topics. But maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's not. No, it's just not my. It's not my thing. You know, I got to deal with topics that really. I feel like you, Miss Rowland, Ruby, all of us can. All of us, like everybody in Miss, I think we're on a level where we can like problem solve real shit. I don't. I can't partake in low vibration topics. I got to deal with like real world problems that we as real world people can resolve. So that's where I stand with that. So you know, I wish Miss Lynn would deal with topics that is on her intellect. She's a very smart woman, but why she keeps dealing with these low grade topics, I don't know. I don't know if she's following certain people. I don't know, but I can't be a part of that. Anywho, I haven't been on lately. Yeah, because they're not stimulating. Those you have an IQ. She has an IQ. We all have high intellect, and we can't be doing the patty cake baker's man topics. We can't be doing the TMZ topics. We can't be doing that shit. It's beneath us. And so yeah, her being a school teacher and you know and a mature black woman, I just expect more of her topics. I expect her to not deal with those Mickey Mouse topics, man. Those topics are Mickey Mouse. I just know I can't do them. Just can't, and I refuse. I refuse to lower my intellect with those type of topics. I just can't do it. So, anywho, yeah. But shout out to Miss Lynn. You know, I still love Miss Lynn. But yeah. But yeah, I've been on here just trying to like analyze this whole thing because again, you know, um, I know Trump is getting a lot of pressure from the neocons to keep this war going because war is big business, like Eisenhower talked about when he talked about the military industrial complex. It has grown way out of control. It grew out of control under the Reagan administration. And so, yeah, it's just, it kept ballooning under Biden, Clinton, Bush, uh, Biden, Clinton, Bush. Who did I miss? Bush Senior, Obama, Trump. You know, this military, and Trump is trying to contain it. And the original, when they dismantled the Soviet Union, there was basically the government, the neocons, wanted to dismantle Russia. This was their goal some years ago under Reagan, under Bush, Reagan, and Trump is coming along saying, "No, that's just not in Trump's. That's not part of his agenda. He is not a warmonger. He's not a wartime president. He's just, he is a business. He's strictly about money. He's strictly about money and how we can make more money, more, and that's why I don't knock Trump when it comes to domestic because he's trying to maximize the money as much as possible, low taxes, low gas prices, increasing wages for our military, increasing wages for, uh, I mean, he's trying to maximize our pockets. And so, yeah, I would never criticize anything that Trump does domestically. However, with the foreign, it's a little bit more complicated because you got the loyalty to NATO, or well, he's in charge of NATO, and then you got the neocons that are tied to the neocons and the neo-libs that are tied to Europe, deep ties, and so and our military, the Pentagon. It's almost like they have a whole entity by themselves. Make up for the major loss due to Biden DEI stupidity. Yeah, cackle. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Not only is it a lot of work, even if Biden didn't make that big mess, Trump still has a lot on his plate because he's dealing with the deep state, people trying to, you know, 86 him. You know, I see Trump today as America First with trying to make deals where everyone involved feels like they won after being conditioned. That's a fact, Rob. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so again, Rob, with that being said, let's go back to the deal that uh, what type of deal, what type of securities do you think Trump set up with Ukraine? Is it strictly going to just be American security? That's what I think. I think it's going to be strictly, and I think Trump, when he presents this to Putin, he say, look, NATO will not be involved, period. NATO will not be involved, and we will take total control of the security. There's your denazification, Putin. America will take total control of the security, meaning the military will be in our total control, but I don't know if Putin's going for that. Wait a minute. I don't know if Putin's going for that. It's got to be something else. It's got to be something. I don't know how Trump is going to work this. See, these are the type of things we can all come together and think about and resolve. These are the type of topics that I like because I know you guys are intelligent enough to figure it out. And that's why I like giving y'all homework assignments. But what I'm saying is that what type of securities did Trump set up that Putin will go for? He is about to. He is about assets. Uh, what prosperity? Yes, he is about assets. He's about minerals and all that. Prosperity. He is the ultimate prosperity president. So prosperity, you already know, and that's why Trump looked at war as bad business. That's how Trump views war. War is bad for business because he's looking at golf courses, he's looking at rare minerals, he's looking at things that will generate money for outside of the Pentagon. See, the Pentagon is its own entity. The war machine is its own entity. So by going to war, only the war profiteer makes money off of that. Your Halliburtons, your uh, your Lockheeds and all that, they make money. But Trump is like, no, 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 no. He has a different, he comes from a different world. And so by him being the president, and this is why Adam Schiff put that message out there, they are about to lose their stronghold of what makes them money, and that being war. War makes them money, but Trump is a different type of president. He wants to go to China and Iran and Russia and make deals that don't involve missiles. He said he wants Iran to prosper too, and Iran is on board. And this is why they put the 86-47 out there, because Trump is the first man to cut deals. If he can cut deals with Iran, he can cut deals with anybody. And also the guy over in Syria, the damn Al Qaeda head, the head chopper. He made it. I mean, if you can make deal with these extreme Muslims, then you can make a deal with anybody. And this is what they don't like, and this is why they told Adam Shifty to put 86-47. Trust me, they're going to pay him quite handsomely for putting that thing out there. They put that out there because they want some crazed person to try to 86-47. So, um, what Patel needs to do. Oh no, Patel said he's going to leave it up to the Secret Service. What Secret Service needs to do is arrest Adam Schiff immediately. But Adam Schiff already has his alibi. He's already going to say, "I was walking, and I just so happened to see it in the sand, and I posted it." This is what people on social media do, and because this is not illegal, it would be illegal hypothetically, theoretically, if he did it. But he's going to say, well, I just happened to walk by it and post it, and I didn't realize it was threatened, so I erased it. So he already has his alibi to keep him from going to prison. Y'all see how that works? So him being FBI, he knows how to push, how to push no excuses. No, prosperity, I agree, it's no excuses, but they have to pass a law first. It's just like, okay, CDL truck drivers, right? A lot of us, we drive around, and some of us, let me just say, a friend of mine got pulled over the other day, and the DOT said his license was suspended. He thought he was going to go to jail. I said, no, no, no. CDL drivers, if they pull us over and our license is suspended, we have to sign a form first. Once we sign that form and we get behind the wheel and they pull us over again, then they can take us to jail. But if we don't know, if we don't sign that form, they can't take us to jail for a suspended license. So the same thing with this whole internet thing. They're going to pass a law saying you can't make threats, but they don't have a law yet. Yeah, you can't threaten people, but as far as posting some other stuff, they don't have a law. So the excuses, yeah, we're saying no excuses. We know, good to know. Right, right, right. We know that Shifty Chip is being shifty. We know that, but he covered himself because he did his research first to know that he can post something and they won't lock him up for it because he could just say, well, I just posted it and I didn't know. He can actually use as an excuse. Even though you're saying those excuses, I agree. We all know Shifty Chiv put that 86-47. We know that. Is that just in your state or statewide? Um, I'm not sure if it's nationwide, but CDL drivers, that's a good question. That's a good question. Is a CDL driver, does that apply nationwide? I don't know. But again, if a driver's unaware, you have to sign that form. And then, like I said, once you sign that form, it's in the computer base. And then they pull you over again, like, well, you signed this form and you got behind the wheel again. So yeah, but as long as you don't sign that form, if you never sign that form, you get pulled over and you ain't got no license. They can't just lock you up here in Georgia. So I don't know. Dang, I don't know. Prosperity, I'm not sure, but in other states, I don't know how that works. Don't know how that works in other states because here in Georgia, you got to sign the form once your license is suspended. Your CDL anyway. So that's a good question. Um, so yeah, but it relates to shifty shift. Shifty shift can say, "Oh, I didn't know," because there's no law as of right now. Uh, there's no form. There's really no law in place saying that you can't post something like seashells, and I don't know, but basically, what's going to happen? They're going to interview Shifty Shift, and they're going to say, "Well, he didn't know," and this and that. So I think Shifty Shift will get off. I don't think they'll lock up Shifty Shift. This is why I didn't really want to speak on it. Unlike Letitia James, they're going to handcuff her, but Letitia James is not going to be arrested for any of the mortgage stuff. She's going to go to jail for aiding, abetting illegal aliens. That's what she's going to go down for. It's the message behind the seashells. No, no, I agree, Prosperity. We all know that Shifty Shift did that and that he's putting that crazy message out there. Um, I believe what's going to happen, he's going to get away with this, but he's going to slip up again. He's going to slip up again, and it's going to be something that he can't get out of. That's what I think. So Shifty Shift is going to think he got away with it, and he's going to go. He's going to be emboldened to do something else stupid. That's what I think. Because he's already making excuses to cover himself so he don't get locked up. But once he's relieved of that, he'll get comfortable and he'll do something else stupid. The more stupid stuff you do, the more lax you get, and the more likely you are to get caught. And that's what's going to happen in the Shifty Shift. So they're not going to get him this time around, but he's going to get comfortable and he's going to do something else stupid. And then they're going to lock on to him. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he will get away with this. Yeah, I think he will, man. In fact, I'm going to tell you something else. I'm going to take it even a step further. And y'all not going to like when I say this. I think Diddy's going to get off. Trump don't let it go. No, Trump ain't gonna let it go. That's why I said Shifty Shift's gonna do something again, and then he's gonna get caught, and then they're gonna throw the book at Shifty Shift. Um, Let me say, I have a feeling Diddy's gonna get off. I just have a weird feeling. Like if he gets off, I'm not gonna be surprised. Now I could be wrong. I don't think he will. Okay, Prosperity. I hope you're right. It's just that I don't know. It's something weird about that case. It's something weird. It's something not something something is not something weird is I just have a weird feeling, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But they're handling that case like it's kind of weird the way they're doing it. And it's almost like they're handling this case so there could be a mistrial or something. But you know what? I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But Adam Shifty Schiff, this time around, he's not going to get locked up, but he might do something stupid down the road, which will get him caught up. Letitia James is done. Fannie Willis, they're gonna break her so much she's gonna just be broke as hell. I don't think Fannie Willis is going to jail, but she's gonna be broke as hell. I'm talking about both of them too many watching. That's true. Well, you know what? Again, I don't disagree with your prosperity. I just got a funny feeling, but again, it's just you know what? I agree with you. I just hope I hope it ain't no funny business. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I hope there's no funny business, but we'll see. Just like that Epstein list. That Epstein list was supposed to be come out. Because he had the jury gasping. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess they're gonna have to get him on the Mann Act. I don't know. It's prostitution, all that. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. You know what? it just what I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see more witnesses. I'm gonna have to see more witnesses because she could always fall under the angry ex-girlfriend, and that's. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not. I have to see more witnesses. But I mean, what you're saying. What? All that. And I get it. And I'm not fending for Diddy because I don't even like Diddy. I don't even like that dude. But it's almost too good to be true, is what I'm saying. But we'll see. We'll see. But if my reception goes bad, let me know because I just pulled up to my house, and for some reason, when I pull up to my house, my reception gets crazy. But yeah, I made it home, y'all, and I got two packages that were delivered. Did I order anything? Oh, whatever. I think I did, and I can't remember. But let me see the chats. Hold on. Let me see the chats. Let me read the chats. Let's see. They have to make an example out of this. I agree. I agree. But they should have made an example out of the Epstein, and they still haven't. I mean, they got Epstein up out of here, but still, that list. Damn, you said it. I have the same fear about Diddy. Yeah, Rob. I just have a weird feeling about that. But I ain't gonna speak too much more on that. We'll see how that goes. I don't think he will. Trump did let go. Damn, he said it. Fear about. I have the same fear about Diddy. Yeah, I just have a weird feeling, y'all, about Diddy. Prosperity. I'm jumping off now, but I wanted to give you some shout out. Okay, shout out Prosperity. If Roland has a good title, I'll be on Roland's show. But if it's not, if it's a low vibration show, I'm not gonna do it. Like I said, titles have to be, what I'm talking about. Prosperity. Let's not play these games. You know what I'm talking about. But shout out to Prosperity. I will see you over in Roland's show. Um, Rob, yeah, like I was saying, I think that I think Adam Schiff is gonna get off. They're gonna go interview Adam Schiff, and he's gonna say, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, yeah, we all harassing me. I didn't know." So they're gonna let him off because he's already planned this thing to where he's not, like, hey, I took it down, and hey, I didn't know what it meant. I just took a picture of it, and I just posted it. I mean, this is what everybody does. They see stuff and they post it on the internet. I didn't know. He's gonna play that card, so he's already pre he's already pre-excused himself from any prosecution because he's FBI. He knows the tricks of the trade. He knows how to get out of that. And they're going to interview him. He already knows the tricks and trade. He knows the body language. Shifty Shift knows, and so, but he'll fuck up later on. Trust me on that. But unfortunately, Letitia James can't get out of it because she done signed stuff. By her signing stuff, that's it for Letitia James. Uh, her father being her husband, and her signing to get a lower rate, signing her 5 bedroom as a 4 bedroom, and her primary residence in Virginia. There's no way out of that. You done signed all that, Letitia. You done signed it, and then you got the notary. So you done. You done. Ain't no, oh, Trump's trying to get me. No, you signed that. You said your husband, your father said your uh 5 bedroom was a 4 bedroom, and you said primary residence was in. No, you done. You done. You done, Letitia James. There's no way around that. Like I said, if she don't go to jail, she will be, and she will lose her position as Attorney General in New York. That's over with. As far as Fannie Willis, they're going to break her. They're going to siphon out at least $1 million out of her. She's going to be paying. She's going to be work. They want that $1 million back, is what I'm saying. Letitia shouldn't have gone after Trump with that graveyard in her closet. They weren't thinking, Rob. They weren't. They were. None of those DAs were thinking. They were thinking they're going to cheat another election, and that hold on, I got to turn the AC on. They were going to cheat another election, and that Kamala was going to have a back, and they were going to have a field day, and they were going to lock Trump up and throw away the key, and they were just going to party like it was 1999. That's why they did that, but they didn't expect. They expected another 2020 to happen in 2024, and apparently, we did not let it happen. We did not let 2024 be another 2020. Business as usual, in other words. Right, Rob? Yeah, they were going to do business as usual, and it didn't work out. And apparently, what I don't understand, Rob, is that they didn't have a plan B. Why you didn't have a plan B? Like, what if Trump wins? Like, that did not come across their mind, Rob. Are they even human? Are they human, Rob? Because a human would be like, what if this goes wrong? I'm thinking all human beings think like that. What if something goes wrong? I might need a plan B. I might even need a plan C. Like most people think like I'm assuming most people think like that, Rob. Goes back goes back then not thinking. But I thought it was just human nature. Is it just Rob, am I being naive? I thought it was normal. The way I was raised, you have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. This is the way I was raised by my parents. You have a plan A, plan B, and plan C. This is the way I was raised. So I'm like, I assumed everybody was like had that mentality, or they were so arrogant they didn't think a plan B was needed. I can't think like that, Rob. I can't even. I can't even like Rob. You know, and I teach my sons this and my daughters. I teach my kids have more than one vehicle. Rob, do you have more than one vehicle? Me being a mechanic, a former mechanic, I live it in everything that I do. Everything that I do, I have a plan B, even with my vehicles. Meaning, right, Rob. So that's what I'm talking about. If you only have one car, you know, and I've done it for a long time in my younger years, you're down, you got to take it to the shop, and now how do you get around? So get two cars, that's your plan B. That's your plan B, Rob. So I thought this was just normal right now. And you know what? I will say this because my mechanic, he was confused. He was like, my car was making a noise like a, and I took it to the shop, right, Rob? And the mechanic was like, "Oh, that's your fuel pump." So guess what I did, Rob? I ordered a fuel pump, and then my shade tree, he be doing some shit. My mechanic be doing some shade tree shit. He's like, "Well, if you just bang it with a hammer, it'll go away." I'm not that type of person. If I hear it one time, I order the part so I can replace that shit. Well, apparently, when I got the pump and I drove to the mechanic shop, the damn noise went away. So what my mechanic says? Oh, well, you can just send it back. No, I'm not sending that shit back. It's a plan B. So if the pump ever goes out, I got a backup pump. It's like having a spare tire. I got four tires, but I still have that big tire. I have a pump that pumps damn air in the tire. I have this thing. It's like a battery jack, and you hook up to the battery and it kickstart your car. I'm just a plan B type of person. That's a band-aid, not a plan with a wrench. Right. And you know what, Rob? You know what I hate? But shout out to Christopher, man. Christopher Gonzalez, he's from Mexico. So a lot of those mechanics are good, but they have a shade tree mentality, meaning bang on the wrench, and if it runs, just keep running it until the real. And I'm like, no, I'm too old to be stranded somewhere. So I have this part ready to go. So if that pump does go out, I have a new pump that I can slap on, got the gaskets, and I don't have the tool to get the thing off, but I don't have to drop the things when I'm saying the Buick LeSabres, these hoopties, you open the trunk and the fuel pump's right there. So what I'm saying is that it made the noise one time and I went on bought another one. It ain't making the noise no more, but I ain't taking no chances. I'll drive it, but I'm keeping the fuel pump until that one goes bad. I'm not sending it back. So I have a spare. I have a plan B in my trunk. I have a plan B in the trunk. So that's all I'm saying, Rob, is that, yeah, all that banging it with the wrench, that's some shade tree shit. And I'm too old to do the shade tree shit. I used to do the shade tree shit when I was in my 20s. I don't do the shade tree shit. In fact, I don't even do the one car thing no more. You listen to that warning. Right. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, because I've had too many bad experiences with vehicles. I've been, when you have only one, I don't have to tell you that is the worst in the world. That is the worst feeling. You only having one car and that shit fucking breaks down. That is a horrible feeling. That is horrible. It's a horrible feeling. So no, I'm older now and I don't. That's one thing that I excuse from my life. I I excuse that from my life. No more breaking down, vehicle breaking down, and me not having another vehicle. So while I get a tow truck and call it and take this one to the shop, I got another one to ride in. Those days are over for me when I'm just riding one vehicle and that vehicle breaks down. No. So to me, it's worth buying another vehicle, paying for the insurance, rotating the car, keeping both cars up. Yeah, but AAA membership. But AAA membership. So let me see what Rob said. Rob said, "You listen to the warning, AAA." Yeah, Rob, you laughing, but yeah, I mean, when your car break down, it's not a laughing matter, man. Trust me. Especially, yeah, it's just not a. Mm-mm. And when you get to my age, you don't want to deal with that shit. Hell no. And once the car is in the shop, a mechanic's not going to jump right on it. Even my personal mechanic, because he got so many other cars, I got to get to work. So hop in the other. If the truck breaks down, hop in the hoopty. Hoopty break down, hop in the truck. That's how I do this. Makes life a whole lot easier and less stressful. Because all this was from cars breaking down on me. All this. Well, I ain't got gray right there, but I got gray right there. Gray right there, gray right there. All this is from just cars breaking down on me. And I'm a mechanic. I work on cars. I know how to, swap out engines, transmissions, rear ends. Well, no, I can't. Well, kind of know how to do a rear end, but anywho, I say that to say this, Rob, is that I went through all that heartache when I was in my younger years, and I solved that problem real quick. And I even tell my sons and my daughters, make sure you have two vehicles, and it's worth pay. Oh shit, it's worth paying the insurance and whatever you got to pay on it, whatever. It's worth it because if that car goes down and you got to go in the shop, then you got to. It's like going to court. If you go to court, you got to pay that fine, and you're missing day from work, so you're missing revenue, and you're losing because you got to pay some fine. So it's a double whammy. One of the benefits of aging wisdom. I was shade tree in my 20s too. Yeah, we all were, Rob. We were all shade trees. You know what I'm saying? And I get it because we all have to start at a point where we're learning. However, 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 we have to um, we have to learn from our experiences and uh, apply accordingly to 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 we have to make sure we don't end up in that position again. You know, it's just like getting insurance or getting, like a flat tire, you get an extra tire, whatever it is, insurance for your car, insurance for your house, you know. Um, Real quick, Rob, since you're here, I want to ask this question because I did a show earlier this morning, and I had a person leave a comment, and I was like, maybe I wasn't clear on what I said. Rob, were you aware that Russia and Putin wanted to set up peace talks in Turkey, Istanbul, and he sent a negotiation team there. Zelensky put out the narrative like, I'm not gonna go unless I'm not gonna be there unless Putin is there. So Zelensky was screaming and crying and hollering about he not gonna go unless Putin goes there. And I'm thinking I've learned in this situation with negotiations is that the heads of state don't go there. Putin sends a negotiation team, Trump sends a negotiation team, and Zelensky, he's supposed to send the negotiation team. It's not supposed to be off the bat. Putin meets with Zelensky and they just have a negotiation. It doesn't work like that. But even Bill O'Reilly and all this did was expose Bill O'Reilly on the mainstream media because he's still pushing the mainstream narrative. The mainstream narrative is that Putin didn't show up, so he didn't want peace. No, his his negotiating team showed up. Rob, I saw it this morning. Shows the details matter. Like you said, they all send teams. So, Rob, I'm not ashamed to admit to you that I really thought. I thought like the narrative, like they were supposed to show up and Putin was supposed to show up and they were supposed to negotiate. This is what I thought. And this is the narrative that they put them. But then I learned in my research that no, they send their teams. They send negotiating teams. So Trump will send a negotiating team. Zelensky will he's supposed to send a negotiating team. Putin will send a negotiating team. They might go back and forth for weeks, maybe even months. But once they come to a consensus and an agreement, then they tell Trump, this is what we agreed to. Then Trump comes, then Putin comes, then Zelensky comes, knowing there's already an agreement. Then they sign off on it. Putin doesn't sit there and negotiate. Trump doesn't sit there and negotiate. And goddamn Zelensky was lying. With like, if Putin's not there, then I'm not there. This, I'm not ashamed to admit because I believe this fuck narrative. And guess who pushed this fuck narrative? Goddamn Bill O'Reilly, who I have shared his channel, shared his videos, thinking that this man is knowledgeable. He's knowledgeable, but he's pushing out this bullshit, Rob. He's like, we should do sanctions against Putin because Putin doesn't want peace because he didn't show up. He's not supposed to show up. He's supposed to send his negotiating team, which his negotiating team showed up. Zelensky's negotiating team didn't show up because Zelensky's full of shit. Steve Witkoff, Trump's man showed up. So Trump's top negotiator showed up. You didn't fail. Bill O'Reilly failed you. I feel embarrassed, Rob, because I sit up here and I vouched for Bill O'Reilly. I said, you know what, Bill O'Reilly's the okay guy. I read his book, and I still support his book, Confronting the Presidents. I don't know about that Confronting Evil book, because all that propaganda he talks about Putin, it's like, dude, didn't you know Putin sent a negotiating team? And Bill O'Reilly got on here on YouTube and straight spent it. Oh, yeah, we should do sanctions against Putin because Putin don't want peace. He didn't even show up. He's not. Like, dude, Bill O'Reilly has access to too much information to not know this, Rob. So I feel embarrassed that I shared his video with you guys because you guys are too intelligent for this nonsense. You vouched for him until he put out fake news. So, Rob, how much more fake news did he put out there? How much more fake news did he put out there? Because I caught this shit. I caught it because I watched Putin's negotiation team. It was three dudes, and I can't pronounce their name, in Russian. But what I'm saying is that they sat there and waited in Istanbul, and they said, "Okay, the meeting's at 10. Oh, hold on, it's a delay. The meeting's at 12. Hold on, the meeting's at 2. Hold on, the meeting's gonna be at 4. Hold on, the meeting's at 6. And at 6 o'clock, we're gonna hold the meeting the next day." The negotiating team sat up there and waited all day because Zelensky wanted to dick around with their time. And Zelensky never even showed up in Istanbul. He showed up in Azaria, Turkey, a whole complete different place without a negotiating team. Bill feels like more of a personality now than a journalist. Yeah, you're right, Rob. You're right, and I should, Rob, I should have known better, man. I trusted Bill. I let down my guard, and I did it, because I felt like Megan Kelly, Bill O'Reilly, who else? Well, just those two. I felt like, you know what? They done left the mainstream media. They're gonna do their own thing. Maybe they're gonna come with some truth. You know what? How I was fooled because I was watching Megan Kelly, and Megan Kelly was kind of going hard, and I was like, okay, Megan Kelly, okay, maybe Bill O'Reilly too. And I should have known better because a dead giveaway was goddamn what is that English dude? Pierce Morgan. He's so goddamn so. But I see, Pierce Morgan is just naive. So I let Pierce Morgan slide. A lot of those people in England, a lot of them, a lot of them, because I deal with a lot of dudes from London and England and all over England, and they kind of naive. I'm gonna just keep it 100. But they naive in damn Canada. They just naive as hell. You know what I'm saying? So I said I'm gonna let him slide, but Bill O'Reilly, I expect no, dude. You know this might make you feel a little better. Who else called out Bill's crap? I don't know. I know I did because I clearly in real time, Rob. I saw these negotiators and they waited, and I felt bad. I was like, damn. You know how it is, man. A person say, Rob, I'll meet you at, be there at 10 a.m. in the morning. You at 10 a.m.? I'm sorry, Rob. We'll be there at 12. You wait until 12. Wait, Rob, are you there? We'll be there at 2. We'll be there at 4. We'll be there at 6. You waited a whole fucking day, and then at 6 o'clock, we'll do it tomorrow. So I felt bad. And then I watched Bill O'Reilly today this morning. He comes with that bullshit. Putin never showed up. I'm like, what? Bill, what are you doing? I done damn referred people to your channel thinking that you legit with your journalism and you come with this bullshit? Man, fuck you, Bill O'Reilly. Yo, because I put my name on that. When I give y'all my rich and all that, I tell you, look, and I tell y'all stuff. Of course, I'm giving y'all an analysis, but I see like and share my video. It's because I got information from sources. Now, luckily, Bill's not my only source, and in fact, I don't use Bill as a source, but some things he talks about and analyzes, and I'm like, okay, that sounds reasonable. But I use like Douglas McGregor, John Ritter. Um, I got sources that are legit. The Duran, uh, Lay's Real Talk. So I got sources, Rob, but I'm giving Bill a chance. I'm trying to show some love, and he comes with this fuck shit. So that looks bad on me. But you're right. I don't know who else calling them out, but I'm calling them out. And I'm saying that's bullshit. And y'all, I will not subscribe. I will not post another Bill O'Reilly video after that, bro, because I watched in real time as this negotiating team waited all fucking day. And I felt that frustration because I had to happen. I've been stood up. So I know what it's like being stood up, except for when, oh, we'll meet you at 10, and you there at 10. We'll be there at 12. Oh, we'll be there at 2. We'll be there at 4. I'm sure you've had it happen to you, Rob. So don't gaslight me and say, oh, well, Putin didn't show up, and I'm sitting there waiting with his negotiating team, feeling their pain, feeling like, damn, I feel bad for them. Damn. But at least I will say this, Rob. Witkoff showed up. So Trump did his part. Now Trump did say, "Well, I might not show up," but Trump knew what he was doing. So that's why I said Trump be saying stuff, but he be doing that New York three-car money. He be doing. You gotta watch Trump, but Trump don't. When he say take all of Ukraine, I'm gonna break that down. When he said he wants that Russia needs to get back all of Ukraine, I'm gonna break that down. That's the New York three-car money. But when he said I might stop by, he never committed. And Putin never committed to going. He said, he said, we are going to set up talks in Istanbul, Turkey. So him saying we, meaning I'm going to put a team together. We. So that means my team represents me. We. And Trump did the same thing. Why Zelensky didn't do the same thing? Zelensky getting all on camera on social media. Oh, I'm going to be there. Trump better be. No, I'm going to be there. Putin better be there too. Like, dude, come on, bro. You a clown. You a fucking clown, Zelensky. So that's where I'm at with that, man. Shout out to Hey Patriot. What's going on, man? What's going on, Patriot, man? Yeah, we being shadow banned, brother. You know, and not only now, let me ask you, Patriot. I don't mind the shadow ban, but I don't like when they interfere with the interference. Sometimes my damn video go, and I'll say certain things, and they'll press the button, and yeah, this is Tim. Yeah, Tim, I know it's Tim. Yeah, I know it's you, Tim. Yeah, I know it's you, Tim. I know you changed your name, man. I know you're trying to get past the algorithm, but like I say, as long as your videos don't do the, my video's been doing that a lot, and I got unlimited data. So it's not my phone, it's YouTube doing that fuck shit. So yeah, man, shout out to you, Tim, man. Shout out, Tim. All right, y'all, let me get going. Shout out to you, Tim. Shout out to you, Rob. Shout out to Prosperity. Shout out to Miss Rowland. I think she's doing the show today, but depending on the title, I might and I might not show up if, I gotta talk to Miss Rowland, man. Titles, I don't know. Titles. You got to get on titles, Miss Rowland. That's on your pay grade. Stop doing titles below your pay grade. Stop doing that. Stop that. All good. All right, Tim. Let me get going, man. I've been in this car and I gotta get inside, man, and I gotta get inside and. Uh, Hey, how you doing? Hey, tell your company to give you a damn FedEx truck. What the hell? What the hell are they doing?
Yeah, when we have a lot of routes, we use some of the red trucks.
Well, then they need to paint it and say FedEx on it.
They got detail on the front. Twisted a little bit. I hope that's it's all right in the inside. It's you?
Robert Henderson.
It's not you?
That's not me. Countryside Lane.
It's Countryside Lane?
Yeah, this country. It's the right address, but it's yeah, Henderson. Robert Henderson.
Football brands. Sports.
Yeah, this. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He did. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, man. Yeah.
It's all right.
And he just ordered that?
Do you know? You don't know who that is?
Yes, I think he's a guy that used to live here at one point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we've been here a year now. Okay. Okay.
Oh, well.
Oh, so no problem. Yeah.
Just put your first initial and your last name.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Which, that's fine. What's your first initial?
Okay.
And your last name?
Ball.
Oh, Ball. Those
You know
my
about
people.
Huh?
Those my people.
Oh, so you know
My
about
brother is a Ball.
Oh, okay.
My daddy was a Ball. Kenny Ball.
Yeah, I'm Kenny Ball.
You Kenny Ball too?
Yeah, you know the Balls go back before the Civil War.
Yeah, you might be.
You know Marie Ball Washington, right? That's you know George Washington.
Yeah.
That's his mama.
Oh, okay.
Marie Ball Washington, yep.
Oh, okay.
That's how far we go back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
floors, man. As long as they're clean. Clean floors, baby. Some of the topics I can't do some of the topics. Some nigga shit. Some of the topics are gonna niggified. It's gonna niggified. Some of the topics are niggified. I can't do certain topics. Niggified. Some topics are niggified. Who cares? Some topics I can't deal with. I can't deal with some topics. Niggified. Some nigga shit. That's some niggas think about. I should have gone over. She's too smart for those things. She's too smart for the topics. She's like, huh? Too smart for them topics. There's no problem solving that.
So we just had a meeting with President Zelensky and then a phone call with President Trump to discuss the developments in the negotiations to today, and the Russian position is clearly unacceptable, and not for the first time. And so, as a result of that meeting with President Zelensky and the discussion with President Trump, we are now closely aligning and coordinating our responses, and will continue to do so.
Wir sind uns einig darüber, dass die russische Seite eine gute Gelegenheit gehabt hätte, in dieser Woche erste Gespräche über ein Friedensabkommen und einem vorangegangenen Waffenstillstandsabkommen zu führen. Wir sind sehr enttäuscht, dass dies nicht stattgefunden hat. Es lag der Ball ausschließlich bei Russland. Es waren alle Bedingungen erfüllt, um ein gutes erstes Gespräch zu führen.
Welcome to CBR. The Amazon Prime post-apocalyptic series Fallout has been highly praised since its release in April 2024. An adaptation of the role-playing video game franchise of the same name, Fallout is set in the year 2296, which is
serious?
execution is flawless. Even certain aspects that could be overlooked fit into the concept, which proves their attention to detail. The soundtrack, for example, revives old classics first recorded in the 1950s, like Don't Let the Stars Get in Your Eyes by Perry Como and Orange Colored Sky by Nat King Cole. Fallout is a masterclass of retrofuturism because it truly is a story where past and future meet. In other words, it gives narrative meaning to all its aesthetic elements. In conclusion, Fallout stands as a testament to the power of cohesive storytelling, where every element works in unison to create an immersive experience. The show's retrofuturistic style is not a visual gimmick, but deeply integrated with the story. This unique approach amplifies the anti-war message, offering a poignant critique on nuclear war by juxtaposing past fear with present and future possibilities. What is your favorite retrofuturistic element in Fallout? Is it the nostalgic interior design of Vault 33, or maybe the nostalgic interface of electronic gadgets like Pip-Boys?
Big boys. Some entitled stuff. I don't gotta know. Baby boy.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press. You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world. So today, our dear brother, has to be very, very careful in this decision. Watch for those close around for signs of betrayal. Because it is written in the scriptures of the Bible that in the last days perilous times will come. And betrayal will be one of the marks of the end of the world because people will feel that they'll be safer betraying a good cause, a just cause to...
You're no damn prayer time. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? It does.
The 22nd of June, 1941. The German army lunges across the Soviet frontier. Panzer tanks grind over dismantled border posts, while dive bombers scream down on Brest, Minsk, and Lviv. Villages burn in their wake, and behind the armored spearheads march members of the Einsatzgruppen, which are Nazi mobile death squads. Together with local nationalists, they herd Jews and political commissars to their freshly dug graves. Columns of Soviet prisoners stumble west under rifle butts, and the German Long columns of refugees clogged the tracks east as the German armed forces, the Wehrmacht, raced toward Leningrad and Moscow. Among the forces clearing roads, seizing rail depots, and identifying hostile elements, which also include women and children from the minorities, are local nationalist formations who greet the Nazis not as invaders, but as liberators from Stalin's terror. The most infamous Nazi collaborator in the early days of the invasion into the Soviet Union is Stepan Bandera. Stepan Bandera was born on the 1st of January 1909 in the Ukrainian village of Stary Ugrinev, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His father Andrei was a Greek Catholic priest, and his mother Miroslava was the daughter of a priest and a stay-at-home mom. When Stepan was 5, the First World War reached the valley where they lived. Trenches zigzagged through the orchards. Soldiers demanded grain and schoolrooms closed, so the young Stepan learned from his parents. The 1918 armistice ended the First World War, but also meant the end for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. However, the end of war did not bring peace to Galicia region. In Eastern Europe, many ethnicities were fighting for their freedom and were trying to establish their own state. The Ukrainians were no exception as they founded the Ukrainian People's Republic. However, the Poles, whose ancient state was restored after the end of the First World War, were also interested in the same territory. Polish troops fought Ukrainian volunteers for control of Lviv, the region's capital. By 1919, the victorious new Polish Republic absorbed eastern Galicia. Overnight, the Bandera family became Polish subjects. Polish policemen arrived. The Ukrainian language was suppressed, and a white and red flag replaced the blue and yellow colors of a short-lived independent Ukraine, which Stepan had begun to love. At 15, he joined Plast, the Ukrainian scouting movement that blended camping trips with clandestine lectures on history and self-discipline. Soon afterward, he swore the secret oath of the Ukrainian military organization, an underground league of people who believed petitions would never free their homeland and that only action supported with weapons could redraw borders and help to create an independent Ukraine. In 1927, Stepan Bandera graduated from high school in the town of Stry.
Working on yourself.
At first, he distributed leaflets urging students to boycott official ceremonies organized by Polish authorities. Soon, however, he was participating in far more sinister activities, and he never finished his studies because of his involvement in the nationalist movement. February 1929 saw the birth of a larger, more disciplined network, the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, or the OUN. At only 20, Bandera entered as a foot soldier yet rose through the ranks with startling speed. He was dealing with the propaganda of the movement and also traveled by night train under false names, spoke in cramped village halls and built courier lines that carried letters from the Carpathians to the Baltic coast. His followers not only painted Polish government buildings with tar and sabotaged telephone poles, but also attacked local politicians. When 2 militants murdered the Polish deputy Tadeusz Hołówko in 1931, Bandera allegedly ordered church bells to be rung across Lviv to cast the killers as martyrs, as they were sentenced to death as murderers and terrorists. Violence in the interwar Poland intensified. Ukrainian nationalists robbed post office safes to fund weapons and money, detonated bombs at official exhibitions, and staged boycotts against state shops. The climax came on the 15th of June 1934, when an OUN gunman shot Poland's Interior Minister Bronisław Pieracki. Bandera was arrested in Lviv and tried regarding his involvement in the plot to assassinate Pieracki, and also for being an OUN leader. He was convicted of terrorism and sentenced to death, but the death sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment. When Nazi Germany invaded Poland on the 1st of September 1939 from the west, and the Soviet Union attacked on the 17th of September from the east, Poland collapsed in a matter of weeks. According to one story, Bandera escaped from prison after it was abandoned by the guards. According to the other, he was released from prison. One way or the other, Bandera moved first to Lviv, but after realizing it would be occupied by the Soviets, he moved to Kraków. the capital of Germany's occupational general government, where officers of the Abwehr, the German military intelligence, saw potential in any group prepared to fight the Soviet Union in the foreseeable future. Bandera, using the code name Konsul II, cooperated with the Abwehr. His goal was to run diversion activities against the Soviet Union after Germany's attack. In 1940, the OUN split. Another leader of the OUN, Andrei Melnik, led a cautious wing that sought German goodwill through diplomacy. Younger militants rallied to Bandera, forming what became the OUNB, named after him. Both factions preached radical nationalism and shared anti-Semitic slogans, but Bandera demanded swift revolution. During his cooperation with Nazi Germany, he drafted plans for mobile groups of 5 to 15 volunteers who would follow German troops, raise Ukrainian flags, and seize local administrations the moment Soviet rule collapsed. To finance the effort, he accepted Nazi money and charmed German officials with promises of sabotage behind Red Army lines. During his time in Krakow, Bandera got married with Yaroslava Oparivska. She was also a member of the OUN, and they had 3 children. Between his release from a Polish jail in 1939 and Germany's attack on the Soviet Union in June 1941, Bandera's faction of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, the OUNB, cooperated closely with German military intelligence. Before start of the war, in August 1939, the Abwehr created a 120-man sabotage unit codenamed Bergbauernhilfe. They were recruited from Bandera's followers and trained for operations against Poland. The goal of this unit was to erode Polish defenses by conducting a terror campaign directed at Polish farmers and Jews. After Bandera resettled in German-occupied Krakow, his relationship with the Nazis deepened. In spring 1941, Bandera held meetings with the heads of Germany's intelligence regarding the formation of the Nachtigall and Roland battalions. During this time, the OUN received 2.5 million Reichsmarks for subversive activities inside the Soviet Union. Stepan Bandera assured the Germans that these units, together with small mobile groups already infiltrating Soviet territory, would secure German lines of advance as soon as the frontier was crossed. This arrangement positioned his movement as an auxiliary partner in Hitler's Eastern Campaign even before the start of Operation Barbarossa, which was the code name for the German invasion of the Soviet Union. On the 22nd of June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa. As panzer tanks rolled east, Bandera's mobile groups crossed the front line. On the 30th of June, in freshly captured Lviv, members of Bandera movement proclaimed a sovereign Ukrainian state. OUNB militias wearing matching armbands began arresting Jews and suspected Soviet collaborators. These activities ended in violent pogroms. There is no evidence that Bandera, still in Krakow, actively supported or participated in the Lviv pogroms or acts of violence against Jewish and Polish civilians. But he was well informed about the violence and was unable or unwilling to instruct Ukrainian nationalist military units to protect minorities. His activities regarding Ukrainian independence were short-lived. German authorities requested the Declaration of Independence to be withdrawn, but Bandera refused. A few days later, Bandera was arrested, held in Berlin, and later sent to the special prisoners block of Sachsenhausen concentration camp. It was a specific type of prison, used for high-profile political prisoners and high-risk escapees. During his imprisonment in the camp, it was possible for Bandera's wife Yaroslava to visit and to keep him in touch with his followers. His relationship with the Germans was not ideal. For example, 2 of his brothers, Alexander and Vasily, were sent to Auschwitz, where they were murdered. In the meantime, units loyal to the OUNB and Bandera had formed the Ukrainian Insurgent Army UPA in the forests of Volyn and were fighting both Nazis and Soviets, while also massacring Polish and Jewish villagers in a brutal campaign of ethnic cleansing. Bandera, thanks to a visit from his wife, managed to get into contact with other OUNB leaders, and some believe that he was one of the orchestrators of the terror which took place in Volyn and eastern Galicia. Between 1941 and 1944, the militant wing of the OUNB translated its slogan, "Ukraine for Ukrainians," into systematic bloodshed. OUN-trained militias helped launch the Lviv pogroms of June and July 1941, in which several thousand Jews were beaten and shot. 2 years later, the Ukrainian insurgent army, formed and led mostly by OUNB members, turned on the region's Polish and Jewish minority, coordinating nighttime attacks on farms and church villages across Volyn and eastern Galicia. The attacks often took place in such a way that a UPA unit entered the village pretending to be Soviet partisans. The men split up, entered houses, and demanded food from the residents. Meanwhile, the village was surrounded, and all Poles passing through were also detained. In the village of Paroshla, UPA partisans ordered all the inhabitants to lay down and tied them up, under the pretext that they were about to carry out an assault on a nearby German rail transport. And if the village inhabitants were found to be tied up, that would serve as proof for the Germans that the Poles did not cooperate with the UPA in the attack. Not all the inhabitants of Paroshla believed them, since some of them could speak Ukrainian. But being unarmed, they had no choice but to do as they were told. Almost all the Poles in the village were murdered with knives and axes. Old men, women, and children, including a 6-month-old baby who was stuck to a table with knife. Only 12 Poles survived, including a 12-year-old boy named Witold Kołodziński, who suffered a cracked skull from an axe blow. This was also part of Bandera's struggle for Ukrainian independence. In these attacks against the civilian population, it is estimated that 60 to 120,000 civilians were murdered. As the Red Army pushed west in 1944, the Nazis sought the help of any force that might slow the Soviet advance. In September 1944, Bandera walked out of Sachsenhausen concentration camp after promising to direct anti-communist operations. He met other released OUN leaders and drafted plans to fight the Soviet Union. One example was an idea to parachute Ukrainian units to the rear of the advancing Soviet forces and create chaos. Yet collapsing front lines made most schemes irrelevant. After the war, Bandera and his family moved several times around Germany, at that time occupied by Western allies. Soviet and Polish politicians and diplomats demanded his extradition, calling him a terrorist who was responsible for thousands of deaths. American counterintelligence officers disagreed. They considered him extremely dangerous, but also too valuable to hand over to the Soviets, since he knew the Ukrainian underground movement and was a skilled anti-communist fighter. Under a shadow arrangement called Operation Anyface, Washington quietly blocked Polish and Soviet requests. As a result of these activities, Bandera moved a lot in post-war Germany, and at the end he settled in Munich, once a stronghold of the Nazis. Bandera was also working for Ukrainian independence after the end of the Second World War, and the Kremlin wanted his voice silenced. They tried, over the years, to find and kidnap him into the Soviet Union. When Soviet patience finally ran out, the infamous KGB, the intelligence agency of the Soviet Union, sent the young Ukrainian Bohdan Stashinsky to execute Bandera. The KGB trained Stashinsky to use a spray gun that fired a jet of poison gas from a crushed cyanide capsule. The gas was designed to induce cardiac arrest, making the victim's death look like a heart attack. Stashinsky had used the weapon to kill another Ukrainian politician, Lev Rebet, in 1957. On the 15th of October 1959, he used an improved version of the same gas gun to assassinate Stepan Bandera in Munich. This time, the KGB was successful, and the 50-year-old Bandera was killed on the spot. On the 20th of October 1959, Bandera was buried in Munich, and 2 years later his wife and 3 children moved to Toronto in Canada. Bandera is still remembered by many as a Ukrainian national hero. He is mainly seen by this group of people for his struggle for Ukrainian independence, whether in the struggle against Poland or the Soviet Union. This struggle, however, was tied to the suffering of thousands of innocent people and meant an alliance with the monstrous regime of Nazi Germany. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episode. The 30th of January, 1933, Germany.
Adolf Hitler, the leader of the Nazi Party, is appointed Chancellor of Germany and aims to lead the German master race to victory in the racial struggle against those deemed as inferior peoples, especially the Jews. The German medical profession plays a central role in shaping and implementing many Nazi policies, and many doctors and nurses become involved in the regime's crimes. While some German physicians welcome the Nazi regime because it supports their beliefs about racial hygiene, others join to take advantage of opportunities to advance their careers. One of the doctors willing to sacrifice ethics in service of Nazi ideology is a psychiatrist who becomes head of the medical office of the T4 euthanasia program, which oversees the systematic murder of tens of thousands of patients across Germany and occupied territories. His name is Paul Nitsche. Hermann Paul Nitsche was born on the 25th of November 1876 in the small town of Kolditz, then part of the German Empire. He attended the prestigious Kreuzschule in Dresden, one of Germany's oldest and most renowned schools, before studying medicine at the universities of Leipzig and Göttingen. In 1902, he earned his doctorate with a dissertation titled Memory Disorders in 2 Cases of Organic Brain Disease. From 1904 to 1908, Nitsche gained hands-on experience working as an assistant to the influential psychiatrist Emil Kraepelin, and held positions as a resident or ward doctor at the Municipal Asylum in Frankfurt am Main, as well as at university clinics in the cities of Heidelberg and Munich. In 1913, Nitsche moved to Dresden to serve as a senior physician at the city's psychiatric hospital, continuing his steady rise through Germany's medical ranks. Well acquainted since 1910 with Alfred Ploetz, the founder of German racial hygiene, Nitsche took part in the racial hygiene exhibition at the 1911 International Hygiene Exhibition in Dresden. Racial hygiene was a pseudo-scientific ideology that promoted selective breeding as a way to improve the population's genetic health, and it called for the exclusion or elimination of those deemed unfit to reproduce. These ideas would later, during the Nazi regime, form the basis for policies of forced sterilization and euthanasia, which means literally good death. In the Nazi context, however, euthanasia was a euphemistic or indirect term for a clandestine murder program. From 1914 to early 1918, Nitsche served as a psychiatrist at the Pirna Psychiatric Hospital, located at Sonnenstein Castle, acting as interim director. In April 1918, he was appointed director of the Leipzig-Dösen Psychiatric Hospital. By the mid-1920s, Nitsche had established himself as a leading figure in psychiatric circles, becoming a professor in 1925 and later a consulting psychiatrist for institutional affairs in the Saxon state government. Even before the Nazi rise to power in 1933, he was already an outspoken supporter of compulsory sterilization. In lectures during the 1920s, he argued for banning marriages and forcibly sterilizing the mentally ill to prevent their reproduction. Nitsche claimed that the destruction of what eugenics and their supporters considered life unworthy of life was not a violation of basic human rights, but rather an act of humanity. On the 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. In May of the same year, Nitsche joined the Nazi Party and later became a judge at the Hereditary Health Supreme Court in Dresden. As Secretary of the German Association for Psychiatry, he drafted the founding charter of the Society of German Neurologists and Psychiatrists, which appointed him managing director in 1935. In 1936, Nitsche introduced starvation diets for patients at Sonnenstein Castle, believing, according to his racial hygiene views, that they were burdensome existences and a financial drain on society. In early 1939, Alfred Fernholz, head of the People's Welfare Department in the Saxon Interior Ministry, pushed to expand this starvation policy to other state institutions in Saxony. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Nitsche remained medical director of the Pirna Psychiatric Hospital at Sonnenstein Castle until it was converted into a killing center at the end of 1939, when the Nazi regime began its systematic murder of the mentally ill and disabled under the secret euthanasia program codenamed Action T4. In January 1940, Nietzsche was transferred to Leipzig-Dösen, again as director, and formally took office there the following month. Shortly after his return to Leipzig-Dösen, Nietzsche was approached by Victor Brack, who held various positions of responsibility in Hitler's chancellery in Berlin, and was one of the key organizers of the T4 program. Brack tasked him with developing a drug-based method for killing the so-called euthanasia victims. Nietzsche selected the barbiturate luminal, a sleeping pill also used to treat epilepsy. The drug offered two key advantages. It was commonly available in clinics across Germany, and when administered in high doses, it caused gradual health deterioration that led to death over several days. This slow decline allowed doctors to attribute the deaths to natural causes, masking the reality of murder. Nietzsche referred to this approach as the luminal protocol and tested it on more than 100 patients. On the 28th of February 1940, Nietzsche officially began working as a medical assessor for the T4 program. He became one of around 40 psychiatrists, including 9 professors, who reviewed patient files and selected individuals for murder. On the 1st of May 1940, he was formally seconded to the T4 organization, initially serving as chief assessor and deputy medical director. In this position, he was responsible for corresponding with mental health institutions about registering and transferring patients to be euthanized. In December 1941, he succeeded Werner Haider as head of the medical office of the T4 euthanasia program. In this role, Nietzsche became one of the leading figures responsible for the systematic killing of approximately 70,000 mentally ill and disabled people. According to a statement made years later by a colleague, Nietzsche once remarked, "It is wonderful when we can get rid of the ballast in the institutions and finally practice real therapy." In April 1941, under a new program codenamed 14F13, a panel of doctors, including Paul Nietzsche, began visiting concentration camps to select sick and incapacitated prisoners for elimination. This operation extended the goals of T4 by targeting prisoners held in Nazi concentration camps. To speed up the process, camp commandants made a preliminary selection list. Names of dead-weight prisoners were to be compiled and presented to the medical doctors for the so-called withdrawal from service, which included any prisoner who had been unable to work for a long time or was substantially incapacitated and would not be able to return to work. Prisoners being considered for the preliminary selection were sometimes encouraged by the camp administration to come forward if they felt sick or unable to work. They were led to believe they would go to a recovery camp, where they would have light duties. Many prisoners believed the lie and readily volunteered, but after they were gassed at the killing centers, the victims' belongings were sent back to the camp warehouse for sorting. Thus, prisoners learned the true reason for the selection, and even prisoners with serious illnesses stopped reporting to the infirmary. In March 1945, Nietzsche was arrested in the German town of Sebnitz, near the Czech border. The results of investigations conducted by Soviet authorities were handed over to German judicial authorities in Saxony in June 1946. His trial took place the following year, from the 16th of June to the 7th of July, and Nietzsche was indicted along with 14 other perpetrators. He was charged with crimes against humanity for killing over 1,000 people. Nietzsche defended himself by claiming that the killing of incurably ill patients was justified both scientifically and socially. He attempted to justify his actions, saying they were intended to free the sick from pain, and he rejected the charge of murder. On the 7th of July 1947, Paul Nietzsche, who was driven not so much by Nazi racial ideology as by his own support of racial science and his vision of what he considered to be progressive medicine, was sentenced to death. Afterwards, he asked for clemency, even though he never showed an ounce of mercy with his victims. However, his appeal was rejected by the Dresden Higher Regional Court. Paul Nietzsche was 71 years old when he was executed by guillotine on the 25th of March 1948 at Münchner Platz prison in Dresden. His body was handed over to the Anatomical Institute in Leipzig. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Much by Nazi racial ideology, as by his own support of racial science, and his vision of what he considered to be progressive medicine, was sentenced to death. Afterwards, he asked for clemency, even though he never showed an ounce of mercy with his victims. However, his appeal was rejected. Investigations conducted by Soviet authorities were handed over to German judicial authorities in Saxony in June 1946. His trial took place the following year, from the 16th of June to the 7th of July, and Nietzsche was indicted along with 14 other perpetrators. He was charged with crimes against humanity for killing over 1,000 people. Nietzsche defended himself by claiming that the killing of incurably ill patients was justified both scientifically and socially. He attempted to justify his actions, saying they were intended to free the sick from pain, and he rejected the charge of murder. On the 7th of July 1947, Paul Nietzsche, who was driven not so much by Nazi racial ideology as by his own support of racial science and his vision of what he considered to be progressive medicine, was sentenced to death. Afterwards, he asked for clemency, even though he never showed an ounce of mercy with his victims. However, his appeal was rejected by the Dresden Higher Regional Court. Paul Nietzsche was 71 years old.